11 JVCs reported profits, and only 4 reported losses. Now, our other state entities, the public corporations, out of 63 OSCs reported on, 42 OSCs reported net surplus and 21 reported net deficit. Now, the question is, if you have so much of our entities improving in performance, why is it that we are not feeling the impact at the aggregate level? Why are we still seeing non-performance, high unacceptable losses, and huge exposure to the public purse? Why that situation in the midst of this? Ladies and gentlemen, we shall go through and understand and unearth what is behind these numbers. Now we move straight to the state-owned enterprises. There are 53 of them. You will take notice that per the analysis done, these entities, about 58% of it comprises of the energy sector by asset size, and then an additional 13.8 for the financial sector, 10.1 for the transport sector, and 10.2 for the agri sector. So right from the get-go, you get the impression that the areas of focus, the sector areas of focus, are the energy sector, the finance sector, the transport sector, and the agri sector. Please let's take notice of that. Now let's look at the key sector performance. Per the last report that was prepared and analyzed, the total asset base of the 53 SOEs is in excess of 338 billion Ghana cedis. 338 billion Ghana cedis. And to put this figure into context, this figure is equivalent to 40.7% of Ghana's nominal GDP for 2023. So such is the enormity of the sheer size of the SOE assets that the state control. Sadly and regrettably, what do we see? An asset size of 338 billion Ghana cedis was sweated, and what was the return on assets? Negative 2.5%. What was the return on equity? Negative 8.1%. In other words, we are holding a sheer size of assets, but we are not making any return on them. So then the question is asked again, if 35 of our 53 SOEs are improving, why this? Let us drill further down. Now we want to put this performance into historical context. Now you'll see that over the period, our SOEs have struggled to contain their cost of operations. And this is evidence. Ordinarily, you would want to expect our SOEs to post a healthy profit before interest and tax. But that is not the situation of ours. In our situation, our SOEs posted a loss before interest and tax of about 1.3 billion Ghana cedis. In fact, in 2022, the loss before interest and tax was a staggering 9 billion Ghana cedis. What this simply means is that our SOEs are not able to take care of their costs, let alone provide for interest costs to return profit and be on the path of dividend. We are so far away, even though we are seeing some improvement in the numbers. Now let's drill further down. Because there is a loss before interest and tax, obviously our loss after tax keeps on staring at us. In 2022, the 53 SOEs reported 14 billion loss after tax, and this is now 8.5 billion in 2023. So such is the situation that we find ourselves. Now we want to drill further down to understand these numbers. There are 10 state-owned enterprises who together control a significant chunk of the asset portfolio and who together hold a significant impact on the entire portfolio in terms of risks, in terms of revenue, and in terms of bottom line performance. Now these 10 SOEs, their total aggregate net loss was 11.6 billion in 2023, and this net loss surpasses the entire net loss of the 53 SOEs. Now it gets even worse. There are 2 out of these 10, I call them the famous 10. There are 2 out of these 10, ECG and Ghana Water Limited. The combined net loss of these 2 SOEs amounted to a little over 14 billion Ghana cedis in 2023. What does this tell us? This tells us that these 2 SOEs alone are capable of eroding all the gains that will be made by the entire portfolio. So captains of our state institutions, such is the reason why we are seeing some marginal improvement in the portfolio, yet it is not being felt. The gains that are being made by these smaller sized SOEs are constantly being eroded by these entities because of their sheer size and their impact on the portfolio. And let me stress home that out of the famous 10, there's what I call the special 3. And who are these special 3? ECG, Ghana Water Limited, and Cocoa Board. Now, you will not see Cocoa Board here because the data available shows that Cocoa Board posted some profits in the year under review. But that does not exclude Cocoa Board from the special 3, because these 3 SOEs together have significant impact on the entire portfolio in terms of exposure, in terms of net profit, and in terms of revenue. And so we are gradually drilling down to where we need to start putting our eggs and where we need to start putting our eye and our focus on, even as we oversight the entire entities. Now let's look at a little more perspective. So we see that over the 5-year period, our analysis has shown that some of our SOEs have been posting consistent profits. So we see Bui Power, we see ESLA, we see Ghana National Gas, Ghana Infrastructure Investment, State Housing, and TDC. But these gains, like I said earlier, are constantly being wiped away by the losses of our famous 10 and our special 3. So our work also elicited a couple of state-owned enterprises, joint venture companies, and other state entities who have been posting consistent losses over the 5-year period. And here I shall not proceed to mention the names in the interest of time, but we can all see, and the documents are available to be shared for all industries. Should I mention? Oh, Shami, Ghana Water, Tema Oil Refinery, and for the OSCs, we have Ghana Highway Authority, Northern Development Authority, Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Microfinance and Small Loan Center. And for our joint venture companies, we have Intercity STC, Metro Mass, Vodafone, Accra Abattoir, Cocoa Processing, PBC, Ghana Libya Arab Holding, Ghana Women Fund, among many others. So such is the nature of entities who have been consistently posting net losses over the 5-year period. Now, the liability position of the sector has also improved, has risen and worsened. In 2023, the liability position of the energy sector moved to 232.7 billion, representing 21.8% decline in that sector. And of course, the energy subsector contributed the highest with 62%. And so we have a couple of SOEs who by their nature is what we normally call in our local parlance, tiasiewu. In other words, their total assets cannot take care of their total liabilities, and so they are kind of walking dead. And who are these entities? Airtel Tigo, GNPA Limited, Ghana Post, the Road Fund, Ghana Water, PSC Tema Shipyard, Precious Mineral Marketing, and our very old friend Tema Oil Refinery. So now we do the further drill down. Captains of our state institutions, these are the top 10 SOEs who pose significant impact on the entire SOE portfolio in terms of their sheer size, their revenue, their exposure, and other indicators. Volta River Authority, ECG, Ghana Cocoa Board, GNPC, Bui Power Authority, Ghana Gas, NEDCO, Ghana Ports and Harbors Authority, Consolidated Bank Ghana, and Ghana Water Company. I believe all the captains of these institutions are here with us. So for the critical success factor for the nation to embark on a reset and restructure our SOE must obviously start with these 10, because these 10 together, they constitute 82.2% of the entire asset base of the SOE portfolio. Their revenue contribution to the portfolio alone is 80.4%. And guess what? The size of these 10 alone is equivalent to 33.3% of Ghana's nominal GDP in 2023. Now take notice, 53 SOEs, their size was equivalent to 40.7% of nominal GDP. Just 10 out of the 53, their size is more than 1/3 of Ghana's nominal GDP in 2023. So such is the enormity of these 10 which have been sieved out of the 53 SOEs. And our conversation has to be centered around these 10 in addition to the others if we want to embark on the path of reset. So now we move on to our joint venture companies. And these 16 entities, the state has controlling interest. What is the story? It is not pleasant. to sum it up, it is not pleasant. So whilst in the year under review, our joint venture companies were able to post a profit before interest and tax of 526 million Ghana cedis, the same cannot be told of the bottom line position. Our joint venture companies posted a net loss of 1.7 billion Ghana cedis in 2023. What this means is that the difference between a PBIT of 524 million and a net loss of 1.7 billion gives an impression of the sheer size of interest costs that our entities are burdened with. It shows the level of exposure in terms of fiscal risk of our joint venture companies. the support of all stakeholders to provide the support that is needed so that the authority can exercise the oversight mandate effectively and efficiently. Oversighting 175 entities is no mean joke and requires the support of all to come on board to ensure that the authority is given the resources and the support to be able to exercise this mandate. The next one is to enhance transparency in decision making. And this is one area that is dear to our hearts. Whenever decision making and investment processes are opaque, you keep everybody out, and then few people are making these decisions. It crashes, and everybody is made to suffer the consequences. But we were not there. You kept us out when we were making these decisions. There is the need to improve transparency in operations and decision making. We also need to streamline the operations of our specified entities. We must embark on a path of efficiency in our way of operations, and ensure that bureaucracies are eliminated so entities can freely manage their operations the way it is required of them. Another area that we really require support is to professionalize the governing boards. What do we mean by professionalize? We want to see what they are meant to do. They have the necessary skills and competencies and are able to deliver on the mandate. Remember, governing boards are fiduciaries of the state. And therefore, that fiduciary role has inherent obligations and liabilities. They must be made known. Therefore, we need the right and the competent people. The ability to go through this path will lead us to the path of professionalizing our board. And if this is done, it will become one of the lasting legacies of His Excellency the President, which must be enforced for future leaders to also embark on this path of professionalization. The governing boards are the fiduciaries, and they must be professional in the work that they do. We also aim to ensure that entities who are due for listing onto the stock exchange are supported to be listed. In other words, we want to invite the private sector and the citizens to come and have a bite on these entities, so together we can co-own and manage these entities and drive them onto the path of profitability. And last but not the least, implement the sanctions regime. Implement the sanction regime. The ability to sanction when wrong has been done is key to the reset agenda. If we are not able to sanction, it will be difficult for us to reset. So on that note, I want to end the presentation here, and we wait for His Excellency's remarks so that SIGA stands ready to follow his lead on the path of resetting. Thank you very much.
The picture is dire indeed. Well, see, such is the situation. So we hope that we'll be able to turn it around. Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. We hear the President will be joining us pretty shortly. So kindly sit back and relax, please. All CEOs who haven't got seats, I think we've brought some more seats. Do take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we rise as we welcome the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Thank you very much. Good morning, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and welcome to today's meeting with state-owned enterprises, and other special entities. I would like to acknowledge the dignitaries who are here gathered, and before we proceed, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Deputy Chief of Staff, the Honorable Nana Oye Letha. The man of the moment is in our midst, Atonomics, the Honorable Kesiel Atuforsin, Minister of Finance, is in our midst as well. All sector ministers who are here and gathered, we acknowledge your presence as well. Professor Michael Pesa-White, who is hosting today's meeting, Director General of the State Interest and Governance Authority, SIGA, we acknowledge your presence. Madam Alexandra Toto, who is the General Manager, Finance and Administration of SIGA, we acknowledge your presence, as well as Madam Millicent Atuguba, General Manager, Operations of SIGA, we acknowledge your presence. The entire SIGA Management Board, Mr. Talesio Robert O'Brien, Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone Division Director of the World Bank, sir, we acknowledge your presence. Madam Clementine Dadi, who is the Country Director for Ghana and Liberia for the AFD, we acknowledge your presence as well. Heads of specified entities who have just been giving a presentation that is very honest and challenging. Mr. President, I'm sure we will apprise you of the picture we have just been given through that presentation. I'd also like to acknowledge the heads of other agencies who are all here, representatives from specified entities as well, comprising senior management and key stakeholders, and our friends in the media who are here to cover this very important conversation. Before we proceed, I would like to invite to give us the opening prayer, Mr. Eduji Tamaklo. Please welcome him with a round of applause. For today, he's a pastor.
Thank you so much. Yaira was supposed to pray, but he said I was closer to God, so I should do the prayer for him. Thank you. May we be upstanding? Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this glorious opportunity to discuss profitability and issues involving state-owned enterprises. Father, bless the President, bless Ghana, and bless all CEOs with the knowledge and wisdom to transform their agencies. Amen.
You see, redemption is close to all of us. Thank you very much, Eduji Tamiklo, who is the CEO for the NPA. Next, I'd like to invite to give us the welcome address, the Director General of SIGA, Professor Michael Pesa-White.
Thank you very much, Shamima, and thank you, colleagues, for being here. It is indeed a great honor to welcome all of you to this very important gathering, which in many ways brings the leadership of state-owned enterprises and other state entities together in the presence of His Excellency, John Dramani Mahama, President of our great republic. Your presence here today reflects a shared commitment to strengthening our public sector institutions, enhancing efficiency, and achieving sustainable national development. As we convey here today, I am reminded of the immense responsibility that rests on our shoulders. We are custodians of Ghana's state assets, entrusted with the sacred duty of managing these resources for the benefit of our people. It is therefore our collective responsibility and duty to ensure that our SOEs operate with utmost integrity and sustainable national development. As we embark on this journey, I want to assure all of you that SIGA is committed to supporting you every step of the way. We will work tirelessly to ensure that our SOEs operate with the highest standards of governance, transparency, and accountability. In our quest to promote efficiency and profitability in Ghana, especially with respect to the SOEs, we must view good governance not only as a moral imperative, but as a business imperative as well. At SIGA, we firmly believe that our relationship with SOEs must be horizontal, not vertical. A partnership based on mutual respect, shared responsibility, and a common goal of improving performance. We are not here to dictate to you, but to collaborate. However, we would demand that which is enshrined in the Act of SIGA from all entities. Ladies and gentlemen, the foundation of any high-performing enterprise, whether public or private, is sound corporate governance. As stewards of national assets, we must adhere to the highest standards of transparency, accountability, and ethical leadership. Weak governance structures lead to inefficiency and financial mismanagement. But where there is strong governance, there is resilience, growth, long-term success. I urge you all to continuously strengthen governance practices in your respective agencies and entities, ensuring that decision-making is guided by professionalism, integrity, and strategic foresight. Beyond governance, we must embrace the challenge of transforming our SOEs into world-class enterprises, entities that are not only financially viable, but also globally competitive. The time has come to move beyond survival to sustained value creation. This means investing in innovation, digital transformation, capital and human capital development, and operational efficiency. It requires us to rethink our strategies, optimize resource utilization, and foster a culture of excellence. I dare say that the key to unlocking the potential of our SOEs in Ghana lies in their ability to adopt best practices, innovate, and adapt to changing markets and societal circumstances. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are at a turning point where incremental change will not suffice. What we need is a bold, decisive action, a collective commitment to make our SOEs models of efficiency, profitability, and national pride. We will therefore reflect in our negotiated performance contracts with SOEs and other state entities for the 2026 financial year, which will be signed in December this year. Mr. President, I wish to extend our deepest gratitude for your unwavering commitment to reforming Ghana's SOEs. Your leadership and vision have inspired us to strive for excellence, and we are honored that you are here with us today. I trust that today's engagement will be productive, and I look forward to an open and insightful conversation on how we can collectively drive this agenda forward. Once again, welcome, and let's work together to make Ghana great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause, Professor Michael Pesak-White, Director General SIGA. We would now invite for his own remarks the Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone Division Director of the World Bank, Mr. Talesio Robert O'Brien. With a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, Honorable Director General of SIGA, Professor Michael Pesak-White, Minister Cassio Forson, other ministers, members of parliament, chief executives of SOEs, colleagues from AFD and other development partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to begin by expressing my gratitude to the DG for inviting me to make a statement at this very important event. As one of your partners, we really appreciate the opportunity that the government has offered us to be a part of this discussion on how to improve the performance of SOEs. And we had a really excellent meeting with the DG and his team, the colleagues who presented a couple of weeks ago. And I think the presentation is really indicative of the excellent work that they're all doing on this in SIGA. Let me also thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to participate in the recent National Economic Dialogue. It was an honor for the World Bank to hear firsthand about how the administration plans to reset Ghana. Today's event is a further testimony of your resolve to accelerate the reset agenda as outlined in the dialogue, and also Minister Forson's budget speech earlier this week. And I assure you of the World Bank's partnership and support in this journey. I think the President Mahama and his cabinet have really set a tone of candor the past couple of months. And there's a term going around in management circles now called radical candor, about the value of that when we speak very candidly with each other. So I would like to continue that in that style. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, state ownership remains critical in Ghana and other developing economies, given the role SOEs play as providers of public goods. Many SOEs have social mandates, which require them to remain in business, even when they are subsidized by government. Indeed, evidence from the World Bank suggests that state ownership is more prevalent than previously thought. The bank did a really good report called The Business of the State a couple of years ago, which identified 76,000 enterprises with state ownership of more than 10% in 91 countries. I'd recommend that one for you to give also a sense of the global experience. Given the multiple ways in which government can assert its ownership rights, even in enterprises in which it only controls a minority share, the concept of the business of the state goes beyond the traditional SOEs to include firms with minority, indirect, or majority ownership, as we heard from the colleagues this morning. In this sense, the performance of the entirety of the 177 public enterprises should concern government and make it critically important that they are reformed and managed better. Your Excellency, given the critical role they play, it is paramount for SOEs to be fit for purpose. There is a need to constantly look at state ownership and interrogate the quality of the state's participation across different dimensions. The first dimension is the social mandate. Does the state need to perform this role, or could the private sector do it better or more efficiently? If yes, if the state needs to perform the role, is it in favor of the state? Are new measures needed to rejuvenate the operations of SOEs generally and also in particular cases? Is the SOE commercially viable or not? If yes, what is the compelling reason for the state's continued involvement? And does the environment provide sufficient competitive neutrality to permit the participation of other private sector players? Does the state play a regulatory role or direct service provider role? If yes, what is the nature of the regulations and also vis-a-vis the extent of the state's presence in the sector? And if no, the state should take measures to leave commercial activities to the private sector and dedicate resources and expertise to manage non-commercial SOEs better. Let me take COCOBOD, for example, in this regard. COCOBOD currently plays multiple roles to support farmers' income and productivity and support Ghana's position in the cocoa market. So it's a regulatory role, but it's also a commercial role. On the commercial role, there's a procurement monopsony, and there's a sales monopoly on cocoa beans, as well as the physical distribution of inputs to farmers, which have created significant distortions over time and driven a significant wedge between the market price and the price farmers receive. The results are clear, a vicious cycle that undermines Ghana's position in the cocoa market. Cocoa production has dropped nearly 50% over the past 3 years. Many countries in Latin America and Africa are ramping up production to fill global demand. I used to work in Latin America before I came here for this job, and I can tell you firsthand, countries are seeing this and looking to take advantage of it. So there's really no time to waste. Existing forward sales contracts locked in lower prices than current market rates. The potential impact for this season could be as high as $1.3 billion of foregone revenues for COCOBOD and the farmers due to these rolled over contracts. Large gaps between market prices and farmer payments, with potential losses of about $4,000 per ton for farmers, encourage smuggling and shift towards galamsey, as we all know. It's therefore critical for a comprehensive and holistic look at the cocoa sector, including unbundling and rationalizing the responsibilities of COCOBOD to allow private sector participation in procurement and sales of cocoa beans and inputs to farmers, and reforming COCOBOD's governance structure to strengthen its regulatory and enabling environment functions. Your Excellency, the second dimension is financial and operational sustainability of SOEs. As we all know, we've heard now this morning, SOEs have been a burden on public resources in Ghana. I'm asking my team to look where we're working in many of the sectors with you to try to support you in the particular sectors. We're already working quite a lot on COCOBOD and ECG, but also water. Ghana Water, I think, is another one, which clearly needs some support. As the 2023 State Ownership Report demonstrates, a significant number of SOEs in Ghana would fit the definition of entities facing financial distress. The report highlights the underperformance of SOEs, which continue to operate at a negative net profit margin with significant liabilities. I'll just take one more example, another famous one, which is ECG, which together with Volta River Authority and the Northern Electricity Company account for approximately 63% of these liabilities that have been identified. ECG total debt of Ghana cedis 68 billion, unpaid legacy arrears at the end of 2022 were 1.3 billion USD. Annual cumulative sector shortfalls in 2024 stood at 2.2 billion USD, despite government transfers of 2.1 billion in 2023 and 24. So projected cumulative financial shortfall for the energy sector is over 9 billion USD by 2026 without intervention. These are our World Bank modeling projections. In terms of COCOBOD, the total debt estimated at Ghana cedis 32.5 billion, of which 9.7 billion is due to be paid at the end of September this year. The performance of SOEs thus needs to be enhanced now more than ever. So again, I'm really excited the government is doing this, and we're very happy to help every step along the way. Improved distribution of operations and strengthening billing and collections through enhanced internal customer and meter management systems and deploying smart prepaid meters in the energy sector is also critical, and we're working with the government on supporting that as well through a sectoral project. In this respect, Excellency, I'm pleased that under your leadership, the government has made it clear that it intends to undertake difficult reforms, such as those in ECG and COCOBOD. A comprehensive reform is really what's needed in ECG in terms of reducing aggregate technical, commercial, and collection losses. Your Excellency, the bank has been deeply invested in improving governance and financial and operational performance in SOEs around the world, and we're very happy to bring this experience as well here. Among Latin American countries, for example, Chile has been a trendsetter in corporate and public sector governance, particularly in terms of promoting the role and independence of boards of directors. Uruguay has focused on improving SOE performance through use of performance contracts, as has South Africa. So in the case of Uruguay, management agreements are set, clear objectives and performance targets are then monitored by the Ministry of Finance to ensure that those are met. Closer to home, in Gambia, the National Water and Electricity Company has since 2017 pursued reforms and achieved good results. For example, reducing transmission losses from 28% in 2015 to 20% in 2020, reducing blackouts and improving bill collections. In Senegal, with World Bank support, the energy utility company, Senelec, recent recovery rate improved from 79% in 2013 to 82.7% in 2022. And bill collection rates have improved from 79% in 2013 to 98.8% in 2022. Can ECG be as good as Senelec? Of course it can. Of course it can. All it will take is strong leadership and good governance, and I believe that's what we have now. Excellency, SOE sector reforms require strong measures, such as improving the SOE's corporate governance, namely strengthening autonomy and accountability and professionalizing the composition and operations of the boards of directors. In Ghana, additional measures could include strengthening internal financial management, controls, and audit, and adopting performance incentives for managers and other personnel. Under the USD $150 million Public Financial Management for Service Delivery program, the World Bank will provide $15 million to the government if SIGA achieves agreed targets towards improving the performance of SOEs. The successful preparation and publication of the 2023 State Ownership Report is the first important milestone under the program, and I'm confident that there will be more to follow, including the finalization of the proposed performance evaluation of the 16 SOEs that SIGA has identified. The World Bank is also supporting reforms through the $300 million budget support instrument with policy actions, including those targeting reforms of ECG. Your Excellency, to conclude, I would like to thank the Government of Ghana once again and SIGA for recognizing the bank as a partner. We look forward to working closely with you going forward and to realizing the promise of SOEs as a generator of revenues for the people of Ghana. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robert O'Brien, for that presentation and that commitment to support the government of Ghana as we take steps to reform our SOEs. So, Mr. President, you would have heard a presentation earlier on by Mr. Joseph Sapong and Eric Bonsu on the real states of our SOEs. So I want to help you to do something, okay? I'm going to put the question again. All those, after hearing the presentation on the real state of our SOEs, all those in favor of carrying on in their new positions, say aye. Mr. President didn't hear. All those in favor of carrying on in their new positions, say aye. Mr. President, did you hear them? There is your social contract with our SOEs and their CEOs. Thank you so very much. Next, I'd like to invite the Finance Minister to give his remarks. Let's welcome to the podium Honorable Dr. Kasia Atto Forsen.
Your Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, Honorable Ministers of State, Honorable Deputy Chief of Staff, Acting Director General of SIGA, the chairpersons and members of the Governing Board of Specific State-Owned Enterprises, the Country Director of the World Bank, colleagues, our brothers and sisters from the media, distinguished guests, all other protocol observed. Your Excellency, it gives me great pleasure to address this important governance session in assessing specific state-owned enterprises and their performance in the years past. This meeting could not come at a better time than this. In fact, it has followed two important meetings of state. The first is the National Economic Dialogue, and the second is the National Budget. Your Excellency, our state-owned enterprises are going through very difficult times, times that profitability has eluded almost all of them. Mr. President, some specific numbers that we've seen so far indicate, for example, that the Electricity Company of Ghana, for example, has recorded consistent losses from the year 2021. In the year 2021, they made a loss of 1.46 billion Ghana cedis. 2022, 8 billion Ghana cedis. 2023, 5.96 billion Ghana cedis. The Ghana Grid Company made a loss of 93.5 million Ghana cedis in 2022, 8.6 million Ghana cedis in 2023. Gihok Distilleries reported a loss of 25.1 million Ghana cedis in 2022 and 25.5 million Ghana cedis in 2023. Mr. President, this one surprises me. Even the alcohol making company, is making losses. Graphic Communication Group also saw a consecutive losses of 3 million Ghana cedis in 2021, 4.4 million Ghana cedis in 2022, and 15.1 million in the year 2023. The Ghana Cocoa Board, the largest loss-making company, also saw 2.4 billion Ghana cedis loss in 2021 and 3.8 billion Ghana cedis in the year 2023. To put these figures in perspective, in the year 2018, only two state-owned companies, state-owned enterprises made some profit or paid dividends. Your Excellency, they are the Ghana Ports and Harbors Authority and the Ghana Reinsurance Company. In the year 2019, this number increased from 2 in 2018 to 3. The GPHA, Ghana Re, and TDC. And they contributed 14.4 million Ghana cedis, all three of them. However, in the year 2024, Ghana Port and Harbors Authority started making losses. And we recorded a new company that has declared dividend. The State Housing Company replaced the GPHA. And the three of them, being the State Housing Company, the Ghana Re, and TDC, together contributed a dividend of 28.7 million Ghana cedis. Mr. President, these persistent losses does not reflect the potential of our state-owned enterprises. Unfortunately, some of them are posing significant fiscal risk to the economy of the Republic of Ghana. The two most threatening and most worrisome is the ECG and the Ghana Cocoa Board. To reverse this trend, we must implement a bold turnaround strategy that transforms loss-making state-owned enterprises into financial viability and self-sustaining institutions. The strategy will include capacity building initiatives to strengthen leadership and operational efficiency. The second will be the enhancement of corporate governance training to ensure strict regulatory compliance in all state-owned enterprises. The third is a financial discipline and strategic decision-making to restore profitability. Your Excellency, I would like to highlight a critical issue facing specific state-owned enterprises, and this has to do with the compliance of the financial reporting obligation. Mr. President, the Public Financial Management Act, Act 2016, Act 921, outlines a clear financial management and reporting requirement for all state-owned enterprises. Section 95 of the Act mandates that state-owned enterprises must prepare annual accounts no later than 2 months at the end of each financial year. State-owned enterprises must submit audited financial statements to the minister within 4 months after the end of their financial year. Moving forward, the Ministry of Finance will be working closely with SIGA to ensure strict compliance of this regulatory requirement. Your Excellency, I came here with copies of the Public Financial Management Act to distribute to all state-owned enterprise heads. And I expect that Section 95 will be strictly adhered to. Mr. President, I want to end by urging all state-owned enterprises and heads of institutions to buy into your vision. A vision to restore hope, a vision to work in transparency, and the determination that you have always led us, the determination to do good to the people of the Republic of Ghana. I thank you.
Let me adjust the height. Thank you very much, Atufosin, the Honorable Doctor and MP, as well as Finance Minister. It is now my singular honor to invite to speak to us the CEOs herein gathered, His Excellency the President of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama. Ladies and gentlemen, let us rise as we invite His Excellency to give us his address.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Kindly be seated. Let me acknowledge the Director General of SIGA, and to save time, just say, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all of you are welcome. Thank you very much for being together with us. I hear I missed a horror movie. And Shamima put the question whether after watching that movie you are still prepared to go forward. And I heard aye. She didn't say as many as are not in favor say no, so I'm putting that question. As many as are not in favor say no and just walk out, and we know that you are not prepared to be part of this reset and this reform. I think you all voted aye. So you're part of the reset agenda, and we expect something completely different from you. The reports we would look at next year will be the report for 2024. So really, your performance will show when we do the 2026 review. That will show for 2025. And I'm going to come and sit in that review, and we will mark you based We'll mark you based on your performances. And if you're not matching with the pace of the reset agenda, you might be asked to step aside. And so if that adds to the horror movie, that's the intention. Thank you. Thank you for your presence this morning and the opportunity to address you. This morning's activity is not just a forum for discussion, but a decisive call to action, demanding bold leadership, accountability, and an unwavering commitment to excellence from you as chief executives of state-owned enterprises. This meeting reaffirms my commitment to the promise of a shake-up of all loss-making SOEs and realigning them to break even and transition into profit-making. As you have all noted, my 2024 campaign promises and the 120-day social contract with the good people of Ghana were not mere rhetoric. The 2023 State Ownership Report produced by the State Interest and Governance Authority, SIGA, reveals the inefficiencies affecting many of our SOEs. And this demands that we act with conviction and courage to tackle the systemic challenges confronting these enterprises. Many of our specified entities have operated inefficiently for far too long. They've been burdened by waste, underperformance, conflict of interest, and a complete detachment from national interest. Many of our SOEs have been used as mere instruments for generating personal wealth for persons appointed to positions within the entity. And who are the ones responsible for this situation? It's the chief executives, the management, and the management boards of these enterprises. Some of these enterprises have become perennial loss makers, draining public funds with bloated budgets, unjustified allowances and perks, and unnecessary expenditures, while relying on government bailouts as if they were entitled to them. Indeed, many of your entities are at their lowest point in the entire history of the Fourth Republic. Ladies and gentlemen, the era of impunity, mediocrity, and financial recklessness must end today. I'm happy you clapped. It's not going to be business as usual. We are going to reset your entities. The Ghanaian people have entrusted me with the responsibility of resetting our nation and our economy, and I don't intend to betray that trust. My administration's first 120 days has set the foundation for a new era of governance, anchored on efficiency, integrity, and tangible results. In fulfillment of this social contract, we have implemented a lean government as promised, confirmed a complete list of cabinet ministers within the 14 days promised, and will soon publish a strict code of conduct for all public officials. As I said yesterday, you are among the category of public officers obliged to declare your assets upon assuming office, and also upon leaving office. A lot of your predecessors have failed to declare their assets, including ministers and CEOs who have left. And so the Auditor General must follow them and get them to comply. The Director General of SIGA will ensure that you all comply with your assets declarations. The Auditor General will submit a list of those who have complied by an agreed cutoff date, and those who fail to comply would be sanctioned, including possible removal from office. My vision for reform is clear, anchored on performance, accountability, and national interest. Under my leadership, specified entities will be transformed into engines of growth, aligning with our goal of a 24-hour economy that expands job opportunities and drives industrialization. At the center of this transformation is SIGA, which will evolve from a passive observer into an empowered enforcer of national interest. SIGA will act as a command center and be equipped with executive authority to 1, negotiate and enforce performance contracts with heads of entities. 2, conduct regular in-depth assessment of SOE finances, ensuring transparency and exposing mismanagement. 3, issue binding directives, implement compliance mechanisms, and intervene directly in underperforming entities. 4, commission independent audits to identify inefficiencies and financial leakages. And 5, set and monitor performance metrics with tangible consequences for non-performance. Loss-making SOEs will no longer be tolerated. They will be swiftly reformed, they will be merged, privatized, or shut down. Corruption, procurement fraud, and financial mismanagement will be prosecuted strictly, and boards that rubber stamp poor decisions will be replaced. The practice also of, in a few cases, using entity resources and funds to indemnify board members from accountability must cease immediately. SOEs must deliver strategic value, particularly in energy, transport, manufacturing, agriculture, and finance, to support Ghana's industrialization and the 24-hour economy initiative. Entities like the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, the Ghana Grid Company, Ghana Water Company, Ghana Cocoa Board, Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, Metro Mass Transit, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Agricultural Development Bank, National Investment Bank, and telecom SOEs must play pivotal roles in ensuring that the people of Ghana have stable electricity, water supply, production efficiency, transportation, digital banking, and a cashless economy that operates 24/7. Additionally, our SOEs must be at the forefront of Ghana's economic transformation. They must play a vital role in implementing our administration's key initiatives, and these include the 24-hour economy policy to stimulate job creation, enhance industrial productivity, and optimize national output. The Accelerated Export Development Council, which has commenced work to promote exports as part of our broader strategy for economic transformation. The Women's Development Bank, which has received its initial seed funding and will soon be operationalized. The Jumaura National Apprenticeship and 1 Million Coders Program, all of which have been funded in our first budget to expand employment opportunities for young people. Ladies and gentlemen, we appointed you because we have confidence in you, and we expect that each of you will lead with professionalism and urgency to fulfill your mandates as follows. 1, to operate your entities as competitive businesses, not political offices, by innovating new revenue streams and eliminating dependence on government bailouts. To conduct operational audits to cut waste, streamline procedures, and enhance service quality. And to achieve this, you have to think outside the box. Don't say that is how it's always been done. To tie compensation to measurable performance metrics, including financial results, operational efficiency, and transparency through public financial reporting. Your entity cannot be making losses and you are demanding salary increases and bonuses. It's not acceptable. To comply with statutory requirements by submitting audited financial statements to SIGA no later than April 30th of every year. This, as the finance minister told you, is non-negotiable and indeed is part of the PFMA, and we're going to exact compliance. Embrace research and development to boost productivity and reduce reliance on public funding. And then collaborate with SIGA to drive transparency, accountability, and innovation. I've directed SIGA to compile and submit a report to the Senior Presidential Advisor on Governmental Affairs by mid-May each year, detailing all entities that fail to meet the deadline for submission of audited financial statements. We will enable swift action against non-compliance. Failure to deliver results in any area will not be excused. And as I said earlier, if you're not prepared to be part of this, he said, now is the time to just walk out. The Ghanaian people deserve better and will not accept mediocrity. A World Bank assessment report, and I thank our World Bank rep for the statement he made. A World Bank assessment report revealed that governance gaps, fragmented oversight, and outdated regulations are the root cause of our poor SOE performance. To tackle these challenges head-on, the Public Financial Management for Sustainable Development Program will be supported with support from the World Bank, is undertaking a study under the auspices of SIGA, as he told you. These in-depth analyses are expected to produce comprehensive reports with actionable recommendations for cabinet approval and implementation. The selection of entities for evaluation is meticulous. It targets 120 specified entities, including 50 state-owned enterprises, 16 joint venture companies, and 54 other state entities. The evaluation process will commence with the first batch of 16 selected entities. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a future where our state-owned enterprises are beacons of efficiency, innovation, and excellence, driving growth and prosperity for our nation. That future is within our reach. But to exploit this potential, we must embark on a transformative journey. We must streamline governance structures. We must eliminate redundancies and infuse our decision-making processes with discipline and agility of the private sector. By embracing public-private partnerships, we can access specialized expertise and boost operational efficiency without sacrificing our core values. This bold new approach requires a national rebirth marked by courageous decision-making, calculated risk-taking, and an unwavering dedication to excellence. Together, let's revolutionize and reset our SOEs and unleash a brighter future for generations yet unborn. And my final word, our nation Ghana stands at a turning point. We cannot afford the complacency and incompetence of the past. We have confidence in all of you who have been appointed to these agencies. We've made significant progress in less than 120 days, but this is only the beginning. Our commitment to reform will not waver. Under the guidance of God Almighty and our own resources and expertise, and working hand in hand with the people of Ghana, we will build the Ghana we all want. And I'm committed to leading this transformation, and I call each of you to join me in doing this. Together we shall reset our economy and build a prosperous future for our country. I thank you, and may God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We appreciate. Right. So we are going to have to quickly run through the remaining items before His Excellency takes leave of us, and then we move on to the second part of today's program. We're going to provide an opportunity for 2 CEOs, preferably from the famous 10, to come and share a few words with us. So you can also respond to 2 volunteers. 2 volunteers, preferably from the famous 10 agencies, institutions, corporations. 2, gender balance. Should I volunteer? Randy Abbey, Cocoa Board, please. Yes, there was a hand mic. Otherwise, if you can just come this way too, it's fine. And I'd prefer a female voice too from any of the agencies. MFA. Yes.
Thank you very much. Shamima, when your mentee puts you on the spot, but it's all good. Your Excellency, Ministers of State and colleague CEOs, I guess it's not a pleasant time, and it's of course not a pleasant opportunity. Of course, Cocoa Board keeps coming up, whether it's 10, it's 5, it's 3, it's 2. I guess the only time we miss out is when it's 1, because ECG is there. But, well, Cocoa Board is just a microcosm of the situation of Ghana. So to the extent that His Excellency the President believes that Ghana can be reset, we also believe that Cocoa Board can be reset. It's a very difficult situation, but it's very doable. And I am excited about the charge given us by His Excellency the President. I've had interactions with the Honorable Finance Minister, and I'm very excited to be working with him. I'm optimistic on the basis of the discussions that we've had. And we've also been putting together quite a strong team at Cocoa Board. And we believe that with a turnaround strategy, in 2026, when His Excellency joins us here, we'll see a positive trajectory for Cocoa Board. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Your Excellency. Shamima, you put me on the spot. I don't know why. One of the main sectors that was mentioned was the energy sector. I've spent the last 3 or 4 days in Takrady, and I came in last night for today's program. And I must say that there's quite a lot of interesting things happening with the indigenous Ghanaian companies in the sector. Autonomics. I'm looking at you because I'm coming back to ask for some support from the Public Petroleum Fund to be able to support as regulators what some of the things that our indigenous Ghanaian companies are doing to ensure that oil and gas goes down from upstream into downstream, so that my brother Eduji will have no problems with petroleum products, so that we have no problems ECG with Dumso, so that we can maximize the gas that we've all been speaking about. And it was good to hear from our sector minister a couple of days ago about the new gas processing plant and the very tight deadlines. We in petroleum are quite excited about the few things that are happening. We have quite big international players like Shell speaking to us. Chevron is coming this next week to visit. Got some came and bought some data from our repository, doing some analysis, the Voltaire Basin. So there's quite a few interesting things happening in the sector, and our aim, vision, goal is to be able to support that sector through regulation, fiscal regime, so that at the end of the day, it trickles down into the economy, and hopefully the downstream players, the power sector, ECG in particular, will have more of a success story, so that in 2026, when we come here, energy will not be flagged. Or will be flagged positively. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, MFA and Randy as well, for doing us the honors. We'll just now invite the Honorable Nana Oye Bampo Ado, Deputy Chief of Staff, to give us the closing remarks, and Madam Justina Nelson would also give us the closing prayer, and we will take a group photograph, and His Excellency will beg leave of us then. Another round of applause.
Thank you very much, Shamima, and good morning to you all. the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, honorable ministers, members of parliament, presidential advisors, the Acting Director General of SIGA, Professor Michael Pesa-White, our development partners, distinguished heads of specified entities, the media, ladies and gentlemen. This gathering marks the beginning of a new era. I'm sure you would all agree with me. As newly appointed leaders of our specified entities, you have been entrusted with the responsibility of steering your respective entities towards efficiency, towards accountability, and towards financial sustainability. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has outlined his vision, and the Honorable Minister for Finance and the Director General of SIGA have also provided further insight into what is expected of you. Now it is your turn to take up the mantle and deliver results, results, results. The theme for this engagement is resetting state-owned enterprises for sustainable growth and fiscal stability. This captures the essence of what must be done. We cannot afford to maintain the status quo. The public sector must evolve. It must embrace innovation and function with discipline and efficiency required to meet the demands of today's economy. Your leadership will be very central to achieving this transformation. SIGA is at the heart of ensuring proper oversight and accountability. It is imperative that all entities fully cooperate with SIGA and adhere to its regulatory framework. Please note that if you have not signed your performance contracts with SIGA, you must take immediate steps to do so. These contracts are not mere formalities. They are binding commitments to achieving measurable results. The government will not countenance institutions that fail to meet their performance targets. Beyond compliance, you must cultivate a productive working relationship with SIGA. There must be strong collaboration. This will not only improve your performance, but it will ensure that your institutions contribute meaningfully to the broader national agenda. And let me add that I saw that for the gender quota, representation of females is scored 24%. We are operationalizing the Gender Equity Affirmative Action Act. So please, let's move to the critical 30% in our 2026 report. Thank you. Fiscal discipline is the backbone of all successful institutions. One of the most pressing challenges in the public sector has been financial mismanagement and poor reporting practices. As new leaders, please set a new, proud standard. It must be excellence, it must be integrity, and it must be ethical leadership. All entities must prioritize the preparation and submission of management and audited reports. As directed by His Excellency the President, SIGA is to compile and submit a report to the Presidency by mid-May 2025. So please, we entreat you all to comply with this directive. Our goal is to transform specified entities into engines of economic growth. Those with commercial mandates must prioritize profitability, whilst those that are service-oriented must ensure maximum efficiency and value for money. Waste and inefficiency must no longer define public institutions. As Ghana works towards implementing the 24-hour economy, public institutions must position themselves to support this vision. Another critical avenue for transformation is the public-private partnership. The private sector remains a vital partner in driving innovation, investment, and job creation. Please actively explore partnerships that will help unlock revenue streams and modernize your operations. Government is fully committed to ensuring that you perform at your highest potential. You will have policy support, oversight, and resources necessary to succeed. We in turn expect efficiency, transparency, and measurable results. This administration is all about resetting expectations, financial discipline, service excellence, and institutional accountability. These are paramount. As you take your responsibilities, please approach them with a sense of urgency and purpose. The expectations are high, but they are not beyond reach. With strategic planning, collaboration, and commitment to excellence, we will together build a public sector that is efficient, that is profitable where applicable, and a driving force for national development. God bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you.
Your Excellency, President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, Deputy Chief of Staff, Finance Minister, all protocol observed. Shall we please be upstanding for the closing prayer? Our Heavenly Father, we thank you and bless you. We honor your name. We started with you for this program, and this program has really gone well. We have seen the state of our economy in the various spheres of various sectors and our SOEs. We pray for the spirit of excellence so that come next year and next 2 years, 2026, we would be able to showcase our scorecard and show that, yes, we have indeed reset Ghana. This and many blessings we humbly ask of you through your Son, Jesus.
Okay. Right. Thank you so very much, Madam Justina Nelson. So we're going to take quick photographs. Mr. President, please, if you come back. The national anthem before. I beg your pardon. All right. Hello, please. So Mr. President will come upstage. The management of SIGA will join him for the first round of photos.